What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Tribe of Runners podcast with my amazing host, Christy Brinker, where we are here to talk all things Cocodona. And we probably should have done this earlier. We both agreed upon that. But it's been a little busy for me personally. So this was the day that we could fit it in. And I'm hoping to get this out first thing tomorrow morning so everyone can listen and get prepared or be out on the trail and actually listen to this when we're talking all things Cocodona for 2026. So thank you, Christy, for calling me out and saying, hey, we should have done this, because we're going to have a lot to talk about, and maybe not what the normal people are hearing from other amazing podcasts, but our single take on like what we think is going to happen with Cocodona.
Yeah, thanks. Super excited to be back on the podcast as a amateur professional co-host. It's been great. And I'm super pumped to talk Cocodona because this race is big this year. It's really big. It's bigger than ever. So let's talk about it.
For sure. And I have to say, I have heard, and I know you have heard, because we both have like done a lot of research preparing for this, but we've heard like some people don't think the men's field is stacked, which I find hilarious, but we will get into that later. First, I really want to dive into like what Cocodona is and kind of give a little bit of insight just in case someone is listening to this and they're not too sure, because as we get in the thick of things, you know, Cocodona to us is like the end all be all, not end all be all, because that's maybe over exaggerating. But it is like the what is this? Like the Super Bowl of ultra running in some aspects. There's other races, of course, but Cocodona, it's a very gorgeous course. It is a point to point, 250 miles. This year it's 253.3 to be exact. Just under 40,000 feet of gain and just under 34,000 feet of descent. So for this year, because every year I feel like the course changes just a little bit. For this year, it's 38,791 feet of ascent, and then descent, it's 33,884 feet. And this course, believe it or not, is pretty split between like single track and double track, and I would say majority of the elevation is within the first 70 miles of the actual course. So if you don't know the course profile, go check it out. It is insane, but it's 45% single track, 46% double track, and then 9% pavement in the entire race. All of this information, you can go check it out on the website. That is literally where I got it. But this course is super cool. I know I was out there and crewed and paced Joe Corcione in 2024, I think it was. Maybe 25. It was 24. One of these years. Anywho, when he ran Cocodona, I went out there and crewed and paced him, and I got to experience it from the crewing point of view. It was amazing. Some of the actual sections, like driving to each and every aid station, I think at least 6 or 7 times I kept saying like, oh my God, look at that. Or like, oh my gosh, mind you, I come from flat Florida. So seeing the mountains and being in so many different environments was super, super cool. But the race starts in Black Canyon City, and then it ends in Flagstaff, Arizona. The actual course goes through so many iconic areas. As a runner, you get so many different types of terrain that you get to go through. And as a crew or pacer driving, you get to go through so many amazing towns. I know we went through like Crown King, Prescott, which is where Whiskey Row is. You get Jerome, Clarksdale, Sedona is notorious out there. I know, really weird, but like there's this little area in Munns that you drive through, and Munns Park is actually an aid station stop. There's a little tiny coffee shop that we went to, and when I was visiting Arizona for my 100, I actually went to the Grand Canyons and stopped at that exact same place. It is just an epic little coffee shop, and if you're in Munns, go check it out. But that's probably enough on all of the information about Cocodona. If you want more information, you can easily Google it. You can easily check it out. It is an amazing race. It is getting more and more popular. And this year, if you want to race in 2026 or 2027, it is actually a lottery, which is insane. And I've heard it's a pretty hard lottery to get into. Is that something that you looked into, Christy?
No, not really.
No, me either. But I've heard it is not an easy lottery to get into. We'll have to check that out. But
well, it sells out pretty quickly in the past, right? So I would imagine the lottery might be pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, last year what it sold out and then completely bonked the website where like people were freaking out. So it's not a surprise, I think, to majority of us that has gone to a lottery. And I'm interested to see how it plays out, to be 100% honest. But very exciting for this year because, as we mentioned, it is a stacked field, and I don't know why they don't think it isn't a stacked field. But men's and women's side, I think, is a huge field, and there's so many opinions about what people think is going to happen out there, and I think you know Christie and I wanted to have this conversation because we deeply feel that someone was left out of this. And we wanted to talk more about him and like kind of, give him the praise. And I hope he does go out there and kick some ass. But before we get into that, Chrissy, do you have anything that you want to add to the blabble that I just went on about?
Yeah. So are you going to go into the lottery? You going to sign up for Cocodona 2027?
Not 2027.
Maybe
But I
28.
think no, not 2028 either. When I move out there is when I plan to do it.
Okay.
Because like I do 100% either plan to move out west or in flag. So when I'm around that area, I would rather do it. There's so many other races to do out here on this coast. So I'm like, might as well enjoy this coast while I'm here. What about you?
Okay. I mean, I looked into it, but I've not done a 200 miler yet, and I won't say anything about that, but it's not on my radar currently. Maybe, you never know. You never say never, right?
Yeah, you never say never, but it is definitely something I want to do. And it would just be like a for funsies run. Like I want to go out there and just genuinely have the best time of my life and experience all 250 miles as
Yeah.
best as I
Like
could.
I don't know how, it seems weird to say I'm going to do 250 miles for fun, but to me, there's no other way to do it than with that mindset.
Yeah, that is very true. Very, very true. Yeah. So one day, not within the next 4 to 5 years though.
Cool.
Yeah. Now do you want to get into let's just get into the meat and potatoes. Let's go what our picks are. Let's preface with why we started and want to have this conversation. So obviously this is the hot topic. Everyone is talking about Cocodona right now. And it's just becoming more and more popular. Everyone's giving their picks, or everyone has gone to I know Single Track does the polls where you can vote for who's going to be in the lead and who's going to win and all this good stuff. And there's so many podcasts that are talking about who's going to win, what the potential course records is. And if you want to find things like that, we're not going to be that people to give you the detail on we think it's going to be a course record of A, B, and C. We just are here to talk about what we're noticing as runners and as coaches, and also kind of being behind one of the guys that's on the roster that we think is going to kick some ass. But Christy, who are your picks?
Yeah, so obviously, let's just talk about let's talk about the male winner first. I feel like it should be obvious who we're gonna pick, but I can't pick anybody else but Killian Korth.
Yeah, and I am right there with you. He is the one person I think is going to win male. And the reason, I'm sure everyone's like, well, duh, he's on the team. Yes, he's our friend. Yes, he's been on the podcast a few times. Yes, but that is not the only reason. We have tons of reasons why, and we'll kind of dive into that. But it's to me, it was super shocking, and I brought it to your attention. Is no one in the outside podcast world is really saying that they think he's going to win. They have kind of brushed him off and not talked too much about him. And so what is your thought process? What are you thinking? Why aren't they considering him?
Yeah, so it blows my mind because how is Killian, the current Triple Crown winner, clearly really good at 200-mile races, right? Won 3 of them last year. Why is he not even in people's top 3, right? Blows my mind. And I think a lot of these other podcasters are kind of saying that they think it's the course, the Cocodona course itself. Now, Killian has been on Cocodona, and he does have some sort of allergy or something going on with the course itself. He's been in a winning position and then lost that and had to go to the hospital pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something there. He thinks he's figured it out though. So I really feel like you can't discount that. You can't use that as your reasoning of not putting him in the top 3 because he's been working on that, right? And he's, if you follow Killian's Substack, he has actually been posting his training leading up to this thing. So he's been training really hard. This is his goal for the year. His most recent Substack post, he actually went into some analysis of like comparing his, I think it was Bigfoot that he compared Bigfoot to what he thinks he can do at Cocodona.
Yep.
Killian is going after the course record at Cocodona. Like what? Like it's like he's saying all this, but why aren't these people listening? He's got the receipts too in his training. And not only that, though, if you think about it, like a 200 miler is not the same as a 100 miler, completely different races. And I don't think you can be fast at 100 milers and automatically be good at 200 milers. There's so much difference in like logistics, what you're going to experience out there, your nutrition, your crew, all of that. Obviously, Killian has a winning recipe at 200 milers. And so I don't get it. What are your thoughts there?
So, and I knew you, let me rephrase this. I assumed you would go into the fast 100 compared to like, if you're not good at fast hundreds. And this has been a conversation I've literally had with Killian. Killian and I do talk more regularly than like the average because he's a coach on the team and like I just have the opportunity to chat with him. And it blows my mind in some aspect that people say like, you have to be a fast 100, and because he doesn't technically have a fast 100, like they don't consider him, is kind of how I took it, which may be to the extreme. And I'm not trying to be an asshole, but from the vibe and the words that I hear out of some people's mouths, it's just that like, in a sense, they're saying people need to be really fast at 100 milers, and then that they're going to take over the 200-mile distance. So that's why, like, in my opinion, in my views, they've discredited Killian some, which I think is insane. And like, Killian hasn't done a flat fast 100, I think, ever that I know of. And that's not his vibe. Like, he wants to climb. Like, he is a mountainous ultra runner. He loves, like, Mogollon, prime example. The 300 or the 200s from the Triple Crown, prime, right? Like, he sets all new course records, and yet he has the overall course record of the Triple Crown, and yet is just not talked about. And it kind of blows my mind. And you mentioned the transparency in his training. Like, he is very open. All of his training is on Substack for people to see and kind of like, in a sense, compare. And he's put in so much work, and he's like hitting paces and efforts flawlessly, in my opinion. And I'm just really excited to see him go out there and do this 250. My big concern, and you've mentioned this, and I know it's probably his concern as well, is the allergies. It is a big thing for him. Like, he does struggle with that, and I can understand why people would kind of like, not really think or pick him because of that, because it's been a few times that like this has come up where Cocodona has been taken out because of the allergy and the, like, last time he went out, he had to get hospitalized and had fluid in his lungs. So like, it's a big issue, yes, but I do think he has it figured out, as much as he possibly can. And this year is going to be the year to find out if it is cleaned up where he can go out and actually crush this race, or this race, because of that allergy, like, he will not be able to participate in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And what was really interesting to me is if you go to some of the comments on some of these prediction podcast episodes, in the comments, people are also like, we're not the only ones saying that people are crazy for not putting Killian in the top 3. Like, people are being called out because of this exact thing. Like, when I was scrolling through those comments, there were several people who are like, this is crazy that you don't even have Killian in the top 3. So it's not just us being biased, though. I mean, we probably, like, here's the thing, like, yes, we probably are a little bit biased because of our relationship with him. But at the same time, too, if I like were looking at this from the outside, why would I not pick the guy who's obviously really good at 200 milers, So I definitely think there's something there. And it does seem, Killian obviously was on the Single Track podcast. They discussed the whole 100 miler, like being fast at hundreds means it's going to translate to 200 milers. It's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out at Cocodona, because I feel like there's going to be some baiting in this race, like early on. And what I mean by that, I feel like someone's going to start a speed war, like quick.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many people who have said that they want to set the course record this year that I could see a lot of people going out hot. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. it seems like some people also think about the sleep strategy, and Killian has a pretty aggressive no sleep strategy. Like, there is not a sleep strategy. I mean, the sleep strategy is not to sleep.
Yes.
Um, and it seems like a lot of people think that for a race like Cocodona, you need a sleep strategy. I don't know. Like, I can't really say if that's true or not. I think everybody handles that a little bit differently. I think Killian, having done, 3 super solid 200s last year that he won, I think he kind of understands what that's like. It's not like he's never not experienced that before. What are your thoughts on that?
So sleep, I think, is very personal to every person, and you can't really do the comparison game. I think in some aspects you can kind of say like, "Oh, this person did this, so I will try it." But as a coach, like I'm always the first one to tell people like, and I will say I got this from Killian, and it worked for me too. Is when you try to lay down, like if you're not falling asleep, you're not tired enough. You need to get up and keep going. And I know that is how Killian works. He takes it, in my opinion, to the extreme of him being a competitive runner, where like if he doesn't fall asleep in 5 minutes, he's up and out.
Mhm.
But I always tell people like, hey, and like maybe not 5 minutes, like maybe 15. But I think his strategy is literally to push until the point of fatigue, in the sense of that, like he could lay down and pass out, but it's only for a few minutes. It's not an hour or so or anything that like it used to be. I know back in the day, everyone would try to sleep first night, second night type deal, and then push through the third night. I don't think that's a strategy anymore. And I think it depends on the person. It really, really does. So, like, some people maybe could push the entire time with no sleep. I feel like some people do need to sleep, but maybe it's only for like 10 to 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So,
Mhm.
I think it'll be interesting to see all these top contenders, and I hope to find out what each person actually does for sleep, because it's so like just truly information for us as athletes, as coaches, as runners, to see what people are doing, and then obviously like adapt it to someone that's more of like an average type runner, to try to mimic and or become better at these distances. Because no matter what, we're not out there to sleep and rest. Like we want to get done, but also I don't think every single person out there can push through and not sleep an entire 250 mile race.
Yeah, it seems like the single track guys, they kind of it seems like they lean more on structured napping is the way to go. And I do think that you're going to like, even though if you go to take a nap and you can't sleep, you are going to benefit from laying down for a minute, and resting. But
100%.
a part of me is like, I also see, if you're feeling good, like, why would you stop? If you could keep going, I don't think structured, like actually planning the napping makes sense 100% of the time. So I don't know. I think that's kind of it is gonna be interesting to see how people's sleep plays out in this one. Yeah, but back to your point, I think it would be super cool to hear what everybody does out there as far as sleep goes, because I think it is a super individualized thing. And I think what works well for somebody is not going to work well for anybody else. So seeing if there is like a broad, difference between some of the front runners as far as what they do as far as that goes. And if you recall back to one of Killian's 200 wins, he won that based on his aid station stops. He
Mm.
had less stops than second place. And so obviously sleep plays a part in that as well.
Yeah, and aid station transitions huge, and I think it's becoming to the point where with these 200s they're so aggressive in the sense of competition that you can't kind of lollygag, and you can't necessarily take a 40-minute nap multiple times, because some people's aid station transitions are going to be 5 to 10 minutes. And like you mentioned, I think it was Bigfoot, if I remember correctly, him and Brody, and it was the average moving time for Killian and Brody was actually faster than him, but Killian's aid station transitions were that much quicker that he actually won. So if you think about that in a sense of this actual race, it could literally come down to that, to aid station transitions and or sleep, and how much someone sleeps in comparison.
I think Killian actually said something sort of that they just kind of made me think of this in his recent Substack, where he mentioned how it will be crazy if there's a pack of people like in the last 40 miles of this race. And it's very possible. I don't foresee it. Like, I really feel like it's going to shake it. Like, people, I think the pace is going to be so high in the beginning that it's going to shake out a little bit different. People are going to get separation. But obviously, like, that separation is a mental strategy for a lot of people. Like, they want to force that separation, especially early in the race, because it kind of demoralizes your competitors, makes them give up a little bit. But I think it'll be super interesting to see, like, what the end does look like. One thing that I wanted to hit on that you kind of brought up was, 200 milers are officially being professionalized now. Killian became a professional this year. Max Joliffe became a professional this year. So I think that's part of the reason why the conservative racing approach is dying off for the front runners of the race. We saw that with Dan Green last year, and we've seen that with Killian in the Triple Crown. The pace is being pushed from, a lot earlier on. The fields are getting deeper. You're getting to the point where, if you go out into a 200-mile race, you're probably going to expect the winner to be the person who just blows up less, right? But I almost don't think that's the point anymore. Now it's just more, it's getting closer to being like just about racing and pacing. Obviously, like, you still have to pace properly and not blow up, but it's not just about the person who doesn't blow up is the winner. And those optimized transitions at the aid stations, those aid station stops, they've got to be 5-10 minutes to win these things. There's no dead time. And another interesting thing too is I think the live stream is going to play a part in a lot of these 200 milers from now on, because live streaming the entire race, the crews can get intel from the live streams, that they can kind of creep on their competitors and see, like, in a race, like, it makes me think back to like some of Sally McRae's stories from when she did, some of the Triple Crown before, where she just talked about, Sally is such a competitor. We'll talk more about her too, but like, knowing what your competitors are doing can be a huge advantage. It could also be a disadvantage, but if you know that they're struggling, that's going to give you a huge boost. So the live stream plays a part in the professionalization of this distance too, I feel like.
Oh, and yes, 100%. And it reaches so much further. You know what I mean? Like, in this aspect of like, it's drawing in so much more attention, you know what I mean? And it's just truly making 200s like so much more popularized.
Yeah.
And I think the Triple Crown blowing up and there being a new record this year really, or last year, really kind of blew up like more 200s as well. And it's just like you mentioned, it's literally becoming a race that is now competitive. And I think we kind of mentioned it like in outside of this podcast is like, people are actually getting deals, like, and potential sponsors are telling people like, hey, we'll pay for you to do this race. And you don't really see that in the 200s as of now. Maybe more, yes, for this race, but Killian being one of them, Max Joliffe, like, people have big sponsors and are doing these races, which is awesome. I feel like it's only going to get more competitive, and that's going to be even more of a thing. But with the sense of like having the ability to know, hey, I saw this on the live stream, this person's not doing too well, but seeing them come in and fake it or something like that, like, those are the games that like I think will be interesting this year, because it is such a competitive field, in my opinion. And there's such a good variety of runners within this. Like, you have fast 100-mile runners out there. You have fast 200-mile runners out there. You have FKT people, like, McConaughey's out there. Browning, I couldn't think of his name. Browning's out there. And then, not to mention the women. Like, we haven't even touched on the women in that aspect. But like, you have Courtney, you have Rachel, Mika, so many people. There's a ton of females out there as well. And I feel like it's going to be a whole field in the sense of the top, say, 20, where there's all of that variety, and then all of them playing games with each other, trying to win and trying to overcome each other. So it's going to be interesting to see such a variety. And I'm going to be sitting in my chair at home watching it. But, it's just going to be, I think, so entertaining. And then to hear everyone talk about after, I'm very excited.
Yeah, the reason why I bring up Sally McRae when I think about the competitiveness of it is because she's like a true competitor at heart, like nicest person in the world. We both have met her. She
Mhm.
is amazing, awesome. We love Sally, but like she like, if you've never listened to her podcast or watched her documentaries when she's done 200s, like she is a competitor. And I just think of her when I think about stuff like that because she's that person who is going to fake it, like if she's hurting, she's faking it.
Yep.
And like the live stream, like maybe you can fake it for the live stream, but I don't know if the camera's following you for long enough watching you like walk up a mountain, maybe not.
Yeah, and I like Sally 100%. She is. I'm sure a lot of people remember this, but like pass gapping Barry was her thing,
Yep.
right? And I remember using it in so many of my races, and that's from her. And
Yep.
I know, a little bit about some other people, like very, very generous, very nice people, but also like low key, they're going to do whatever they can to try to psych out another runner because they want to win. And that's kind of the name of the game. And it's becoming so much more competitive. I feel like that is the name of the game. And
So here's
so,
here's a question I have for you. So
oh,
we're talking about how 200s are now professionalized, and with my cycling background, gravel racing was really big when I was cycling, and I got into gravel racing, and this is very similar to that,
mm,
where it's like the 200-mile distance is like the ultra dirt bag kind of theme going on, and now it's becoming professionalized where people are doing like crew NASCAR pit stops and
yes.
you're no sleep till the end. And so you're losing that dirtbag feel. So do you feel like that's doing a disservice to the 200-mile distance, or do you feel like it's making it more exciting?
Oh, that's a great question. And I'm going to be 100% honest. I feel like I have to watch how I say this. So for me, it doesn't. Like, I feel like if I was a dirtbag runner, it wouldn't affect me. Like I can still go out there and be the dirtbag runner that I am and have fun and
Yeah,
just go out there and take my time and do whatever, right? But I 100% think it is becoming like way bigger, way different, probably a little bit more of like a cutthroat atmosphere. But for the people that are racing, it doesn't have to include everyone. Like we kind of talked about this and before, like we know a lot of people. We a lot of people running this race that's on the team, and we'll kind of get into that later, but they're all just going out there to have fun. I have a few athletes that are like, I'm just literally there for good vibes and I want to run 250 miles. So like they're still, I'm not calling any of them like a dirtbag, but it's more of that like feel. But I will say, I think a lot of the thru hikers are struggling in the sense
yeah,
like everyone used to say this was a race that thru hikers were winning, and I don't feel like that's a thing anymore.
for sure. Yeah,
But I will say, like, a through hiker that is getting into running and becomes like, oh, I love running, I enjoy running, and they make it more of like they're becoming more of a competitive person. They're not so much as the through hiker, dirtbag type runner anymore. So it's this like weird dynamic of so many. And I'm saying this because like I feel like a lot of people just take offense and they get very upset and they're like, ultra running's changing and everyone's becoming this and that, but that happens in all sports. Ultra running is becoming very popularized. It's a whole different ball game now, but that's just the name of the game. Like that's what happens. Go do FKTs if you don't want to be in races.
I think it's fun because like like they're not changing the cutoff. So like you
Mhm.
said, you can still have your ultra dirtbag type
Yep.
of, experience out there if that's what you want. But also I think it's super fun to have seeing the limits, what people can push themselves to do at this distance is super cool as well. Like I think it's great that we get to experience both if we want.
100%. And we can kind of dive into this too, but everyone's talking about the front pack and everyone in front, but like there are so many other people in this race. And yes, we may all sit and like be staring at the TV, watching, whatever the case may be. But eventually the front pack finishes, and then there's still days left of race. I still chime in. I'm still watching everyone because there's random people that I follow that I know are racing it. There's tons of athletes that are racing it that I'm watching. There's just such a variety of different runners out there, and all of them have an amazing story. And like, I genuinely like seeing people that pop in from an aid station or like talking and share a little story and then go back out and start running. Like, those are the people I enjoy watching too. So it's that dynamic of like, yes, I want to see the elites go out there and kick some ass and set new course records and, do all the things. But I also want to see the back of the pack, mid pack, and all of that in between. Again, don't get me wrong. I know not everyone is like that, but that's just kind of what it is now. You got to take what you can and enjoy it. Don't be talking shit.
Yeah, yeah. So, who are some of your like exciting, we've talked about some of the top. We've not talked about the top woman yet. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's talk about what are the other storylines that you're excited to follow along out there? I'll kick it off and say, obviously, Sally McRae, since we brought her up. I don't know what she's going to do. Like, she
Mm.
obviously was injured pretty much all of last year. She's done a 100-miler this year. She's been training a ton for this race for Cocodona. Again, somebody who's experienced in 200-milers. She knows what she's getting herself into. But I don't know like where to place her with everybody. I would love to see her, kick some serious ass out there. Again, we love Sally. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts?
I'm in the same boat. Like it's crazy to me how like went from an injury, ran 100 miles. She ran Longhorn. I live in Florida. Great race. Highly recommend it. If you don't know, go check out Longhorn. It's in Florida. It is a Western States qualifier. But she did amazing. Like she finished it. She didn't have a goal to go out there and crush a time or do anything. She just wanted to finish 100 and get her Western States qualifier. And then now she's training for this 200 and genuinely has put in so much work. Like I follow her on social media. I watch her YouTube. She's put in so much work. Um, but I just don't know. Like, is she going to go out and rip it? I imagine she will, but she was
Yeah.
injured. I'm worried. And that's just like maybe like the coach in me of like, don't get injured, or don't re-injure, you know? But I don't know where to place her as well. We've kind of chatted about this. Like, I do think she'll be top 10. I'm not sure where. You know, it's
Yeah,
just, in my opinion, it's truly a stacked women's field.
it is.
So not only like is she a phenomenal runner too, but there are so many other phenomenal runners, female runners that are going to be out there. So it is hard for me to place her. And I would say it's because of injury,
Yeah.
not
I
because of like her fitness or anything, you know?
Yeah, I think my biggest thing with her is just seeing where like how her race goes, knowing that she's coming back from such, like a limiting injury for so long. And just super excited to see her back on course for sure. Like I think that's definitely one dot that I'll be 100% tracking the entire time.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, you know, she went out and crushed so many 200s a couple years, like last year, 2 years ago, before
Yeah.
her injury, and an amazing 200-mile runner. But it's just so hard coming back from injury. I'm the first one to tell you it's fucking hard coming back from injury. Everyone that has been injured pretty badly knows that. So that's why like I'm just hesitant. But I think again, it's going to be an epic event to watch all these top females out there. I think. Do you want me to go in for my next? I'm going to go
Yeah.
female too. Since you started with a female, I'll stick with females.
Okay.
Everyone knows this, I think, but I'm real excited to see Mika go back out there and kick some ass in the 200s. I think she'll do phenomenal. I think she's a phenomenal runner, and she just has not been in the running scene for a little bit due to some things going on in life. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to see her come back at Cocodona, especially knowing the last time she ran it, she fell and got injured. I think it was like her elbow or her jaw. I cannot remember. And went off course, got it checked out to make sure she was okay. She was okay, came back and still placed. Like, I think fifth or fourth. You know what I mean? Like, phenomenal female runner. And I'm excited to see her go out there and crush it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super pumped for my girl Heather Jackson. Like,
Yeah.
this is her first 200, but she's done very long bike distances. Heather's just a very well-rounded athlete. Comes from triathlon, but has been doing gravel and ultras for the past couple of years at the same time. Just had a super fast 100K finish.
Yeah.
I also don't know where to place her because of it being her first time at the distance, but for sure, super stoked to see how it goes for her, to watch her, just see what her experience is. I'm sure we're going to get an awesome YouTube video out of her as well. Her and Sally both. I'm sure we'll have good documentaries on their channels once they're edited and up and everything. But yeah, Heather's another good watch for sure.
Oh yeah. And a phenomenal, like new to ultra running, but still like going out there and dominating the sport. So this is that like weird, we have such a crazy field, but so many like, I don't know, maybes for men and
Yeah.
female because of the 200-mile distance being kind of newer and or just it's not as I don't even know how to say this, but just not we don't have like solid evidence, I guess, in all aspects.
Yeah, for sure.
Not yet. And it's only getting more. I think last year was the year that like now it's like straight up competitiveness and within.
Hmm.
Yeah. Let's go some like people like not top, I'm not going
Yeah,
to think top runners in this aspect, but like some amazing mid-pack people. First person that comes to mind, I've had her on the podcast. Her name's Andrea Moore. She's
shout
just
out.
one of the nicest humans I've ever met. Her and her wife Jackie, they're an amazing team out there, and I'm excited to watch them. She puts on some funny like posts in preparation for this, so I know she's ready to go out there and have a good time. Someone I'm just truly excited to follow along, and she's a mid pack. She's just out there to have fun, and I think she's going to kick some ass.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, Andy Glaze. We love Andy
Oh yeah.
Glaze. We want to see what hallucinations happen for him out there. I'm sure everybody's going to be following Andy Glaze. I wish they would do like a statistics on like most tracked like bib numbers to see who it is, because I feel like it might be Andy.
Oh yeah. And if you don't know, like he literally posts like within a couple hours, like every single day, giving you updates, letting you know how he's doing. It is the most actual course recon you could probably ever get, within the sense of like you get to watch Andy go through the craziness of a 250-mile race. And I'm very excited to watch him as well. He's an amazing person, amazing athlete, and it's just truly exciting to like watch it from that point of view. Do you have any other males? I don't have any other males besides Andy.
Listen, I'm most besides Killian, I'm mostly watching the women at this race. Not gonna lie.
Oh,
And,
that's too funny.
and we still have to talk about the top women, and I think it's good that we're saving it to the end, because it's there's a lot of discussion to happen around that. But obviously, like Cameron Haynes is supposed to be out there, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yep.
And Cam like just set his marathon PR time. We
Yep.
are both Cam Haynes fans. His books
Yep.
are great. I'm curious to see what happens. He did have a documentary last year, which everybody had a tough Cocodona last year because of the weather too. But
And he had
Cameron,
a broken foot last year.
yeah, broken
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah.
But he's like marathon pace. He's the fastest he's ever been at 58. And I think he finished 19th last year, so not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
too bad with a broken foot, as you said. So he'll be interesting to see what happens with like where he's at fitness wise with a hopefully healed foot. That'd be super cool.
Heck yeah. Yeah. And some other like I'll stay on the men's since we're on the men's. Like you have your classic. I have a list. I'm going to literally name them all off just so we can kind of like push through these people, and not in a bad way. You all are amazing. But like Joe McConaughey is going to be out there. I think he's going to be a stud. I still think Killian's going to beat him. I'm sorry, Joe. I don't know you, but I love Killian. So, and then you have Max Jolliffe is out there. Jeff Browning is out there, and I know he's out for redemption, so that'll be interesting to watch. Um, Michael Prestige.
Prestige, yep, he won it a couple years ago.
Yeah, and he is a phenomenal runner as well. So I'm excited. Like in my opinion, this is a good stacked field. There's a couple other people. I know Jeff Garmeyer is going to be out there. Some other like fast 100-mile runners that are new to the 250 are going to be out there too, and a lot of people have talked about him. There's one guy, and I told you before we started this, I wanted to talk about him, but his name is Alec Klein. And Single Track actually talked about him. He had a crazy year last year. He ran a whole bunch of 100 miles, and he's fast. He's a very fast 100-miler. Long story short, he actually knows Caroline, who's the coach on the team. And she was like telling me about him a little while ago. And she's like, you should try to get him on the podcast. And he's really, really nice guy, like super funny, but he's a solid runner. And it is crazy to hear his name when I was watching Single Track, that he's going to go out there and attempt and go for this race. So I am low key going to be watching him just because of like, I heard his name and now I like hear his name big time. And I'm like, that is just super, super cool. So he's the other person that I have in the like on my list that I'll be paying attention to.
Yeah, for sure. And we want to send a shout out to our friend Randy Zuckerberg, who's racing Cocodona. Not her first time out there. I'm curious to see how she does, because she's had a super solid year this year so far.
She's had an amazing year. And yeah, like huge shout out. Randy is going to go out there and crush it. I'm excited to see how she does this. And I do know like Joe Corsione's going to go out there and pace and help and all that. So I'm hoping he posts some stuff on social media so we can all watch her. But she does actually post quite a bit as well. So I am very excited to follow her along and go, watch her go out there and crush it.
Yeah. So, you want to talk about the women?
Yeah.
Finally.
Yes, let's talk about the women.
Part of the reason why I'm glad we saved the women is because let's talk about the course record. Here's the number one question. Is the course record going to be broken this year? Men and women's course records.
Ooh, I think both female and male course records will get broken. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's happening.
Yeah.
There's some debate because it's going to be hotter this year, but there was some mud sections last year, so maybe it's a trade-off. I just feel like with the competition that's out there, it's going to push it. It's going to get broken. So obviously, we have not said her name. We've actually not said a couple of the female goats' names. One of them is last year, the past 2 years, Rachel Interkin.
Past 2 years, yep.
Yeah. So, who's your number one pick to win this thing on the women's side?
Well, we haven't said her name. And
Okay.
I don't know either of these women. I've heard wonderful things about both of them. My female pick is Courtney Dauwalter, like hands down.
Same.
But here's a question for you. I'm going to throw you straight under the bus.
Oh gosh.
Is she going to be the overall winner?
Yes. Okay, so listen, I just went back on how we started this podcast we said Killian is our male pick to win.
Yeah.
But honestly, there's a part of me that will never bet against Courtney. You know what I mean? Like, her mentality, her personality, her whole mindset, everything is so much of the sport. Like she is a legend. She's an icon. And I do want to see her be the overall winner, straight up. Also, not just because it's Courtney, but also because she's a woman. And, like, I think there is a little bit of a topic behind that as far as like women closing the gap in these longer races on men. And I don't hate that.
I agree 100%. And I will say I can probably stand behind a part of me, I love Killian, and I hope he doesn't hear this and think like, fuck you, Liz. But in the back of my mind, I would love Courtney to win overall simply because of she's a female. She is, like you mentioned, just like the nicest human ever. Killian's nice as well. I'm not trying to downplay Killian. But there's just something from a female's point of view that like if a female could go out there and crush this, it would open up the possibilities for females. And I'm not trying to sit here and say like, we've lived this crazy, horrible life and all of this or anything other than like, I just want to see a bad bitch go out there and fucking do badass shit. And if you're listening and you have children around, I'm so sorry. But, it's just it truly is. And she and Rachel, I think, are breaking the barriers as females to push other females to do hard ass things. And I love that. And so like my top two picks for females are Courtney and Rachel. But again, I do think Courtney's going to go out there and win it. And I have slight hopes that she gets overall.
Yeah, the thing about this race, and this is why I'm so excited about it, is there are probably like 10 different storylines that I'm tracking during this thing. And one of them is Courtney versus Rachel. And, they just raced at Chianti against each other, and Courtney they both had excellent races, but Courtney won. Courtney has focused on the marathon. How is that going to translate to Cocodona? We all know what happened to her last year as far as having a DNF. So to me, it's if Courtney has it, like, what did she learn last year? Has running a marathon helped her for this race? I think it's Courtney. Like, I think if things go right, then she could win the overall. That is honestly like would be insane. The other part of me wants to see Killian and Courtney battle it. Like there's a part of me that's like, I want to see these two people racing it at the end. Like what if in the last like 40 miles, it's Killian versus Courtney? Like that would blow my mind. That would be so cool.
I would stay up all night to watch that the entire time.
I would too. We're going to have to get on video and just watch it together. If that happens.
100%. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. Well, that would be epic. Honestly, like I would love to see I'll say 6 to 10 people up front just hauling ass for the last 40. I would love that. Do I think it's going to happen? You kind of talked about this earlier, like in the sense of like people spreading out. I do think that's going to happen. I feel like it's what's happened consistently. Don't get me wrong. Like there's been people that have come back and won, I know like Browning had it happen a couple years ago where Harry came through. Was it Harry, right? That came through.
So yeah.
Yeah, and then McKnight came through and crushed, and McKnight's going to be out there. You know what I mean? So like, just it'll be an interesting year for sure, and I think such a depth of competition, and I am very excited to see the last 40 miles, and I'm hoping it's something that like we're sitting there like, holy crap, it's this person neck to neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And like Rachel's obviously proven in this distance. Courtney, like again, it's Courtney. Like you don't need any other description besides that. So that's one of the storylines I really want to see how it plays out. Just because it's going to be so exciting. Even if Courtney doesn't win the overall, just seeing how those two battle, I think it's going to be super cool. It's awesome where like the competition has led to in this event for sure.
Oh yeah. And like you mentioned, it no matter what, I think the Courtney and Rachel, and I've heard I think it was Rachel talk about it, like she hates it, but at the same time, like it is literally a thing right now. It's the Courtney and Rachel show in the sense of like we're gonna watch them battle it out. But I'm not trying to downgrade anyone else that's in the field, female wise. I think
sure.
we may be surprised. To
Yeah.
be honest, I know, like, we've mentioned Mika's going to be out there, Megan Eckert's going to be out there, and she's a rad ass fucking runner. I'm half wondering if she's going to be a sleeper on us because like she went out and she has the backyard ultra 600 or something like that, right? 600
Yeah,
miles.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, she has a few things. She's an amazing runner. I've met her in person. She probably doesn't remember me, but just humbled, very, very, very kind woman. You mentioned Sally and Heather, both phenomenal runners that could potentially surprise us. And then Lindsay Dower's out there. She's someone that I've heard a lot of people talk about, and I've looked at her training, which is kind of insane. And then Manuela Vasquela,
Yeah.
right, butchering her name, but she is an epic 200-mile runner as well. So like, there's just so many good runners out there, and I'm excited to see both male and female go out there and see who crosses the finish line. And it's just gonna, I think it's gonna be an amazing year.
Yeah, for sure. Like there's like kind of like what you said, like we can say like Courtney and Rachel are like our top two picks, but there are definitely some dark horses in this field for sure. Lots of people who can definitely win this thing that we didn't list as one and two, and that's what makes it all so exciting.
Yeah, and we've kind of alluded to this, but like it's just such a new distance too. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, we've had people like a prime example, Killian, Joe, Jeff Browning, McKnight, Michael Prestige. They've all done quite a bit of 200s and have had the ability to dial things in. 100% yes. But there are still new people like Dan Green last year that just came through and blew all of us away and crushed it. So like I feel like there's, yes, the preparation and having the experience is really, really important. Killian's one to speak of, so many other people, but yet there's still that ability of like, we could be surprised and we could be shocked. You know what I mean? So it's so hard to know what what is what and who's going to win. You know what I mean?
For sure. It's awesome. We can't wait. Is it Monday yet?
Yeah, we have a few days left. Is there any topic that we didn't hit that you wanted to talk about?
There's one really random thing that I heard on the Single Track podcast is that there is the Mingus Basketball Association at mile 110. So if you don't know about this, at the aid station, runners are expected to take a shot at a basketball hoop. That's at mile 110. So it'll be fun to see who tries to dunk it at mile. Like, could you imagine 110 miles and you're like, I can't even dunk it. Like, I'm 5'2". I can't dunk it regardless.
Yes, I will say, and that's Distance to Empty. Their podcast is doing that, and they're going to be out there because from what I remember, I've seen it that Kevin used to, when Kevin Goldberg would go out there and race the race, he would go out there and play basketball for a little bit, like just shoot shit and have some fun. So they've made this whole big thing. It's awesome. The podcast is amazing. And they've done the Flagstaff bound recordings and had tons of people. So like if you're living under a rock and you have no clue what Cocodona is, go to Distance to Empty and Single Track. There's tons of other great episodes. But yeah, that was very interesting. I'm interested to see like what top contenders do for that, because obviously, like, I guarantee you everyone's going to play a little bit of basketball, but it has me curious. I'm like, are they going to try to dunk it? Are they just going to try to shoot a free throw? Like, what's the plan there?
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't even do that with 0 miles. So
Yeah.
whatever.
What's funny is when I was out there crewing and pacing, Andrew went out there on the team and was playing. Oh no, I'm thinking of a different race, completely different. When we were out at Tahoe, Andrew did that.
Oh,
Andrew went and played basketball. Yeah, all the races blur together at the end of the day. But outside of that, your bet's on Killian and Courtney. My bets are on Killian and Courtney, and we're the odd people out. If you look at other podcast hosts, everyone else is. They haven't really mentioned Killian, which is why we are like, we have to have this podcast. Again, all of the athletes out there are amazing. We're not talking any shit other than we think you're forgetting a very important contender. His name is Killian Korth, and he's going to go out there and crush it. But I'm very excited to see really what this whole year is. It's going to be insane.
yeah, for sure. I can't wait to, do a minimal amount of work starting next week while I'm too busy watching a live stream.
Yeah, I've told you this. I've told a few of my athletes this as well. But this week has been slammed for me with coaching calls in preparation for Cocodona, just like, normal coaching. And next week I've blocked off quite a bit of time so I can watch the live stream as much as possible as well. And if I have a call with you and my attention is potentially pointed in a different direction, I'm already going to apologize because I'm probably watching it still.
Yeah, we have like, did you say 30 to 40 everyday ultra athletes are in this race, different distances?
Yeah, so in the whole aspect of like they have I forget the shortest distance, but from the shortest distance all the way up to Cocodona, we have just under 30 athletes doing this race or all the races, and that's for Everyday Ultra. I think if I remember correctly, we have like 13 250-mile runners, which is insane. So I'm so freaking excited.
Yeah, so those are obviously people that we're going to be cheering on super hard. We're cheering on everybody in the race. Like, if you signed up for this race, just showing up to the start line is a huge accomplishment, and you should be proud of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. As we mentioned, it's going to be a fucking great year. It's going to be amazing. So many good feats. And maybe we'll do a post Cocodona and we'll just talk all the things that we saw, we learned, and like all the tea that we could find out within this amazing.
And also how wrong we were.
Yeah, we take our words back and we were wrong.
You never know. No. It's just for fun.
100%. We are not I'll just say I'm not the smartest bunch in the world, and this is just my opinions. Me and Christy talk a bunch of, like, I hate to say a bunch of shit, but we just talk and like, hey, did you see this? Hey, did you see this? And we're like, hey, let's have a podcast and talk about why no one talked about Killian, because we're full blown. We think Killian's going to do amazing, and we didn't see a lot of people talk about it, so we wanted to get on here and talk about it.
Yeah, I have to admit, these are more like my hopes versus my predictions. I hope this happens.
Yes, yeah. I hope all of this happens as well. And I will say, like, I've dug quite a bit into like some of the people's trainings, not full in depth as I'm sure all of the other podcasts have, but again, so many amazing efforts and so many great athletes. I think this year it's fully stacked. I think it's only going to get more competitive, but this year is like one of the first years of it being like really, really competitive, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this is one of my favorite things about ultras is like you can have the perfect training on paper, and then at the race, ultras are, they're so it's a roller coaster. You never know what's going to happen. And a lot of it is just troubleshooting the obstacles that come your way. And sometimes, like, even in Killian's like past experiences, you end up in the hospital. Max Jolliffe, he ended up in the hospital last year. You do the best that you can out there. And sometimes it's just about, your effort on the day, and you do the best that you can. And the training, like, you can make all these predictions based on what's on paper. And that's how ultras are, that's the fun part.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter how well the plan training is. Obviously, it's very important. But as you mentioned, like, it can just go out the door and then you have to kind of adapt. And if you're good at adapting and readjusting, you'll get through this. And that's what we're here to see.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Christy, for taking time out of your Friday to be on here. I'm so pumped to release this. And then I'm sure we'll be texting all freaking week next week about the race and all that good stuff. So Thank you, everyone, for listening. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure we'll have another recap on all of the shit that we shouldn't have said during this Cocodona release and talk all things about what we learned during the race.